So my home for last 5 years was in Finland, in Turkey, in Korea, in US. It was everywhere. So it sounds cool, but in reality, sometimes you find it very hard. Like, where's
Exhausting.
my
Yeah.
home?
Yeah.
But after I meet her, my home was very simple. When Marianne is there, that's my home. So it's very easy. It's very easy.
Do you take lessons? Yeah, wait. How does man come up with these phrases? Oh my gosh, these
See,
lines, man.
dude, you gotta learn.
Yeah, this is why he's married and I'm not. Okay, this is crazy.
But
Wow,
seriously,
home is wherever with
seriously,
you.
yeah, but
okay.
like whenever I'm with her
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
are in certain place,
Yeah.
I feel that's home.
Wow.
I don't feel lonely. I don't feel like I'm out of nowhere. I feel
Wow.
very comfortable. So wherever I go, I'm more confident. I am probably going to travel a lot, even in the future. But as long as I'm with her, I'm not afraid.
Oh, wow.
So it was really good thing that I'm moving around with her, like here and there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, this week we're back with 2 guests, so I'm very excited. Do you
Yeah,
want to do the honor of introducing them to our audience?
Sure. Okay, so today we have with us 2 people, 2 of our favorite people who kindly agreed to be with us on the show.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
Thank you guys. So we have Gun and Marianne, and they are friends of ours from, how long have we been friends? Approximately 1 year. So I met Gun through my department. He's also a grad student in brain and cognitive sciences here at MIT. And Marianne is also from Finland, and they met in Finland while Gun was doing. Well, I'll let you guys tell the whole story. Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil too much with introductions, but yeah, we became friends pretty easily. I would say we found out we had a lot of common interests, and I don't know, just got along. And then sadly, they left back to Korea right when we had become really good friends, but came back when Gon started a PhD. So that's the quick version, but we're just excited to have them on. We got some feedback from listeners that guests are fun and they want to hear outside perspectives and not just me and Ki-hong rambling.
Yeah.
So, we are bringing in some different voices, different personalities. Hopefully they can shed some light on lots of different things.
Yeah.
How they met, sort of their story as being an intercultural, international couple.
International, interracial, everything.
Yeah, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This is
do you
also
wanna add anything?
Yeah, no, I think this is also a really good follow-up to our love and dating episode. Yeah, don't you think so? It's we could also sort of discuss, how you guys
they're
met.
married, in case that wasn't
They're
clear. Yeah,
married.
I guess I never said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a couple. And,
They just actually met each other tonight for the first time, and we're bringing them.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. So, should we hand the mic over to them? Can we start
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Gun, maybe, to introduce himself?
Yeah, hello. Nice meeting you. So my name is Gon. I usually introduce myself as a storyteller. So I'm a storyteller, and I have 3 occupations. So I'm an author. I wrote 4 books, and at the same time, I'm a scientist. I'm pursuing my PhD degree in brain and cognitive science in MIT. Lastly, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I'm running a scholarship foundation in South Korea. So that's me.
I'm barely keeping 1 job, and this man is doing 4 jobs. So, I mean, he is really something else. And Marianne.
I'm Marianne. I don't think I have as fancy introduction. I don't think I have put as many hours into thinking about my introduction as he has. But I study mechanical engineering, mostly. Nobody's going more deeper into safety engineering, kind of mixing them up a bit. I'm on my master's, writing my thesis in here. Oh, well, I think I'm a bit of more nature person and enjoy hiking and stuff, and I hope we are going to be doing that one soon.
For reference, we did, the 3 of us, sorry Ki-hong, did a camping trip last year, which was a lot of fun. And I definitely saw the outdoorsy nature side of Marianne. Ki-hong, you're invited on the next one.
I might actually, if you don't mind, Thomas, I might ask the first question, which is how you guys met. And you can go, this story, the version of the story can be as abridged and short or as long as you guys want. So just really curious how you guys met, because Gun, my understanding is that you were born in Korea. You went to, born and raised in Korea. You went to college in Korea. And then, and then you were just in Finland as an exchange student, which is where you met Marianne, right? But please don't let me spoil everything. So
Yeah, so as he said, I was made in Korea. I still am, but what I meant is that I born and raised in Korea, and I always wanted to become more, international person. And I was very interested in education system. I was actually more frustrated about Korean education system. Maybe we can talk about this later. But anyway, when I was young, I saw some documentary introducing Finnish educational system, which was so in like 2009, 2012, there is a system called PISA ranking, which is evaluating the educational quality of public high school, middle school, elementary school, I believe. And interestingly, Korea and Finnish were on top on many of the rankings. One difference was subjective happiness. In Korea, it was worst. In Finland, it was the best. So I was like vividly remembering that like, damn, like they're doing like all math and science good. At the same time, they're even happy. Like, how can that even possible? So that was very like vivid memory of myself. So, and then I was serving in army in Korea because it's a mandatory thing, and you got a lot of time in in army. So I was thinking like after these damn 2 years, what am I gonna do? I was thinking, oh yeah, Finnish was like really cool country and really cool culture, and they are really known for educational system. So I gotta go and learn educational system. So that's how I decided to go Finland as an exchange student. As I liked international setting, I joined some volunteer group, which is called ISEC.
Yeah.
So it's the biggest youth-run organization in the world.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and we met there. So the ISEC is organizing some volunteer opportunity. So we also recruit people in everywhere in the world, and we bring them to Finland, and we make some programs. So we reach out to school and sell our programs. So we will bring some international students to your school, and we will teach their culture to your school. So let us have some opportunity. And also we arrange some host family so that the international students can stay in Finnish household.
Wow.
So we want to make the world more international, and we believe that's going to make our world better.
Right.
And we were working very hard there together as a team. And then first we were just friends, and just one day we went to a conference together, and then we also like cooking a lot.
Yeah.
So first I invite her to cook Korean food, and then as a thank you, she was cooking Finnish food, and on and on and on. And some point we were dating.
She has a different
I would like to like add some stuff into like the conference part, and I think just before the conference we were playing Mafia. I think here is called
Mafia is a thing here.
Mafia also. It's like Werewolf.
Oh, Werewolf is another.
Yeah. We were playing it, and this guy, he believed every single word I said. You just need to look at his eyes and be like, I am not Mafia. Then we had the conference thing right after, and of course, me being a bit of a shy Finnish woman, I might have made him tiny bit uncomfortable with me following him around in the conference because I did not know anyone else. But at the same time, I kind of did not talk. So I understood you felt tiny bit uncomfortable in that time, but like for some reason we kind of like got good friends after that, and we started to like hang out a lot at our places.
Kiyoung, for context, Kiyoung and I did an episode on like love and dating, and we talked about how like, it's so difficult to like meet people that you connect with, and dating apps, which is like the way most people meet people these days, kind of suck in a lot of ways. And like it's like hard to know if someone is actually into you or just kind of, only sort of 50% there. I don't know. Like there's all these issues with like modern love, modern dating. Lots of people are like talking about these issues. So it is kind of interesting to hear about people, a real couple our age who like just met organically, which is cool. But
and also from such different backgrounds, right? I want to make that
yeah.
note because it's like when you go through Hinge profiles, right? You swipe and you check for certain things, right? And most of the times it's like you're looking for some sort of commonality, right? You either share the same cultural background or you guys like work in similar jobs, because while you guys are dating, right? It's like having that commonality, those common elements sort of, prevent, problems from arising in the future, right? That's what people think. So I'm just very curious. And also before we started recording, when we were having dinner, we were talking about the cultural differences between Koreans and Finnish people, right? When they like, run into strangers and how they interact with them. So I'm just very curious I know Gun, you talked about that like briefly before, but can you elaborate a little bit about that too? How like when you went to Finland for the first time, like what caught you by surprise the most and stuff like that? Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit.
So it's very, very, very different, as you can imagine. First of all, the people look so similar, like surprisingly, because
It's not a racist comment.
it's actually like proven scientifically.
Really?
Yeah, so it's called ORE, other race effect.
Other race effect. Okay.
So if you are raised in certain culture and you are only exposed to certain face, like racially, and you won't be able to recognize other races' emotion because you're not used to it.
Oh, the facial expressions and stuff like that. You're just not used to.
So for me, example, like I am Korean. I born and raised in Korea, so I'm used to East Asian looking people. So there's a principle that, so for me, it's easier to distinguish, are they mad, are they like frustrated if they are East Asian, but if they are like other race that I'm not used to, it's actually harder to like recognize and also distinguish their emotions.
That's actually so interesting.
I mean, so, I do believe that like cross-culturally, often you get into situations where you might misread someone's, you were talking about like facial expressions, or previously offline we were talking about how like small talk differs in different cultures, and in some cultures you don't really do that much small talk, in other cultures it's very important, and so you might think someone's unfriendly when they're actually not unfriendly. It's just culturally different. But then also like we have to remember that there's like probably much more variation within any given culture, like, among people, than between cultures, right? Like sort of like if you look at all Finnish people, the difference between like the most extroverted and most introverted is going to be a much bigger difference than between like the average Finn and the average Korean.
100%.
Like, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like it's not always about cultural differences, although it plays a role. But yeah, I'm interested because I think when Gun and I first met, like I met Gun before I met Marianne through the department at a barbecue actually. And I remember we started talking, and like eventually it came up like, oh, okay, like Gun says, oh yeah, I'm married to a Finnish person. And then I mentioned, oh, like I'm half white, half Asian. And like sort of like that sort of topic came up. And then we ended up spending like a good chunk of time talking about the concept of like, intercultural relationships. And I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but like I do think I maybe shared some anecdotes about like my parents when they were dating and how there was like some cultural misunderstandings and things like this where maybe like my dad did something that to him was normal but was perceived as being kind of a faux pas by my mom's family, or vice versa, and just like it was like a really interesting conversation. So I don't know, like I feel like it's so much like it adds this extra dimension to like a friendship or a relationship when you do have to also, in addition to like getting to know each other as a person, you're also like getting to know their families, getting to know their customs, and like all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So
yeah, do you guys have any examples like that when you guys were dating? I assume you guys have known each other for a little bit, and then after you started dating, you guys were still like learning about each other's cultures a lot. I don't know how familiar you were with Korean culture before dating Gun, but I assume you learned most from him, right? So are there any like, funny stories or, I don't know, kind of interesting, moments that you guys, remember about you guys have like misunderstood each other or anything like that? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Do you have anything like straight into your mind at the moment?
There are many, many that I can tell. Like I can start with the story that we just shared when we were eating dinner. So in Finland, people don't really do small talk. America might be surprised, but in Korea also we do small talk. So, like it's not that important, or is it like it's just like culture, like you just talk. But in Finland, people really, really don't do small talk. So, for example, in the conference, I also knew only her. Like, everybody was stranger. So, like, I was just trying to be nice, like, she was here, so I asked, like, oh, when did you come? I just started a conversation. Nice gesture. She said, yesterday. That was it. That was it. Like, I was like, okay, interesting. Well, maybe she's tired. But then, like, after another break, she was there again. So, awkward. So I asked another question. Sure, like, all right, so you came yesterday, so, like, how did you come? She said, by plane. Done.
And then silence.
Silence.
But she didn't even leave. She was just standing there.
Exactly. I was like very confused. So I was like thinking that, okay, maybe she doesn't like me. Like in Korean, that's clearly mean that like I don't like you, so don't talk to me. It really means that. So I understood that. But for like 2 or 3 days, she was like all the time with me. And all conversation was like this. Like, what did you eat? Sandwich. Done. I was so confused, but then later I really like understand that Finnish people don't do small talk as a culture, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different thing, and sometimes it's very like tiring to just small talk, like it's not really meaningful at all. But in Finland, if you talk, you really do talk like meaningful way. Like you really like listen to them. And you really talk what you are concerned about. So when you actually talk, you're really connected. But you just don't do like, so what did you eat last day? Or like, what did you do weekend? Unless like, if you are generally interested in, then you of course ask. But they don't just ask. So that's the biggest like culture difference that I experienced, I guess. Yeah.
It's interesting because like, those small questions you ask is like, well, of course, later I'm like, well, you asked me like one word answer questions, You didn't like ask me like a long questions or anything that makes me like need to answer longer. Also, I think my own social awkwardness might have mixed into it. So I didn't understand that you might have wanted to have a bit bigger conversation. And
I think it's funny that, I don't know, like, we hear about relationships these days. I don't know about you guys, but like I hear about people like breaking off a relationship or like ending something. Like, I don't know, they start talking to someone on a dating app or they meet someone in real life, but then like one little thing kind of, people talk about like the ick or something, right? It's like, oh, they did this one thing that I thought was weird, so I'm just gonna like cut them out of my life or something. Now, of course, sometimes it's more serious than that, but like I think it's quite interesting and fun that, maybe at the beginning it was not like the most like storybook, like, oh, you saw each other across the room and you made eye contact and it's like it was kind of maybe awkward at first and you just sort of gradually got to know each other and then went past that and eventually, like that, like, I don't know, you got to know each other better and then it was all fine. I don't know. I feel like that's very refreshing for some reason. So I find that, I find that very cute. Just for context, could you guys maybe just share like where you guys were during your relationship? Like, it might not be clear to listeners, sort of like, okay, you met in Finland, but then sort of where geographically did life take you guys after you met? Like, were you in Finland for a long time? Did you go other places?
So, well, we met during spring 2019. We were in Finland. And then we went to Turkey for 3 months-ish. Oh, before that, we also went to Germany. We were traveling like Europe for that summer quite a lot. But the Turkey trip was like 3 months. Most of the summer was spent on like other places. And then we were again in Finland for like a half a year. But then just before COVID started, Gon had to go back to Korea because his like exchange year ended. So it was like a half a year-ish when we were in a long distance. And then I was like, well, everything is online either way. So then we went to Korea. Then I went to Korea like after him. Then it was like bit of a mix between me being in Korea, me being in Finland. Like I was like jumping back and forth quite a lot in that time. And then, well, after we got married, then it was like we came to US for a year, and then back to Korea again, and now we're back to US. So it's like we have been like jumping around a lot, I would say. Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Gun, or was that weird for you, fun, disorienting? Like, yeah, what was your reaction?
Well, I'm just realizing, damn, we moved a lot. Like, yeah, we were like everywhere. But I think it's kind of cool. Like in my early 20s, like I was literally like everywhere. Like I was like 20 countries, I think. But not only as a traveler, but like I lived in Turkey like solid months. I also live in Finland solid months. So I was able to really experience the differences. And also I lived in US for a year. So
right.
I think when I was young, I really wanted to like identify myself as a world citizen.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of achieved that. I'm
Right.
quite happy for it, and thanks to you.
Oh, so and I want to ask Marianne, right? Because the travel back to Korea for Gun was just returning home, right? It was almost kind of concluding one chapter of his journey, right? But for you, it meant, really committing to this relationship and, going to a country, right? You weren't even an exchange student in Korea. You were just following Gun to Korea, right? So what was sort of the catalyst for that, or what made you convinced that was the right move, I guess? And how many years into dating were you guys at that point?
It was a year, tiny bit more than a year before, because it was August I went there, and we started dating in the spring previous year. For me, it was more like I was never really scared of going other countries. And because, well, we were living together for a moment in Finland already, so I felt like I kind of got to know the guy a bit during that time. So I felt like, well, I can go there, so why not? And we will figure things out when we are there. Like, I wasn't scared because I never felt like I'm stuck there. I can just go back if I need to go back. There is an airplane. Right. Like, I can just take the airplane back home. And my family's there, and I can just start again home. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, so I have to ask a question that's, well, as you guys know, I study language, and I'm very interested in language and communication. So I'm curious about the linguistic aspect of your relationship.
Right, yeah.
It sounds like your common language is English, which is not either of your first languages. So can you just describe, this is actually very common that people will meet someone and their common language will be sort of neither of their first, like you could have different combinations, right? You could have like, our common language is both of our first language. You could have it's the first language of one person, but not the first language of the other. So it's like my parents, right? They mostly speak in English, which is my dad's first language, but not my mom's. And then you could have a situation like yours where your common language is neither of your first language.
Right.
Is this something you ever, talked about, or was it ever did you ever have miscommunications due to the language issue? Do you feel like you've changed, have you developed your own peculiarities or idiosyncrasies in the way you speak or the way you use language just between the two of you? I don't know. This is my language nerd coming out, but I just have to ask.
No, great question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really a great question. There are many interesting experiences. So, for example, in the beginning, I was having really hard time emotionally time to time. But then I was not able to elaborate how I feel because my English wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So I was able to, of course, communicate like what I want and what did I do today and blah, blah, blah. But when you want to elaborate how you feel, then you need very high level English.
Yeah.
You don't want to just say I'm sad.
Right.
You want to say I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, or you want to be specific.
Right.
But I didn't have enough of English word pool to elaborate that. So what I have done is basically I gave up at some point. So I didn't talk about my emotion.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't a best idea.
Right.
But I was not just able to talk about it, and it was very frustrating. So I just rather not talking. So that was very, very not good idea. But anyway, after we getting more time to talk about, so now I'm very comfortable with talking with her.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing happened. So we have been dating for more than 5 years, like 5.5 years now.
Yeah.
I think I speak English very well, especially when I'm speaking with her. But then I came to US, you know, I was very confident about my English because I was able to elaborate my feelings. I was even able to fight with her in English. That means like it's
that's
very,
huge.
that's
very good.
very advanced level of English. But when I just came to US, I was very hard time expressing myself, understanding what other people were saying. It was very strange because it was same language, you know. It was same English.
Right.
So I was able to communicate very well with her. But then with other like international students or Americans, it was very hard to elaborate my feelings or understand what they're trying to say. So I realized that it's not necessarily like international or like universal English that I became good at. What I became good at is the English that we are using.
Right.
Marianne and I are using. I
so
become an
interesting.
expert of that specific language because we use specific vocabulary pool and we understand each other's nuance very, very well. So in that language, I'm an expert.
This is
But
fascinating.
with other English, I just didn't understand, and other people didn't understand me. So it was very interesting experience that we just think that English is English, you know, but there are very many different English. So that's what I learned.
Oh, I love this. Gun, thank you so much for this. Do you have anything to add to this, Marianne?
I could add, like, it was quite hard time the beginning, like when you had really hard time of like talking about your emotions. It was like didn't really know what to do in this kind of circumstance. Like so his English was not that good in the beginning when we like met each other, and at that time it was more like me kind of guessing close enough word that what he is meaning. Like I thought that I'm so good at like guessing what he's trying to say, but I just like I think we discussed about this like before. I just like guessed like close enough word about like what he's trying to say to me, and that was like how he also developed his language a bit like more and more. So it was kind of like then suddenly we kind of come across this wall where like emotions, I cannot guess his emotions, like especially like because we were early in the relationship. So it's like, what are we supposed to do in this kind of circumstance? So at that time I was more like, okay, best you call your mom, call your dad, talk in Korean, like get it out. Get it out somehow, because I believe that it was not a good idea to like keep it like bottled up, because I saw he was like pushing it down and not really like getting through the emotion, because he just cannot say it in English. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to add into that.
No, that's really cool. I like that. Yeah, you encouraged sort of communicating, even if it's not to you, but maybe to his parents, because, you know, that gives an outlet to be understood. But actually, that does make me, so I do have a follow-up based on that, which is, okay, so parents, like, I'm curious about, you know, at this point, you're married, you've met each other's families. What is the communication like with your, like, in-laws, or, like, you know, extended family? Let's say when you're in Finland with Marianne's family, or vice versa, when Marianne is in Korea with your family, like, what does that look like? I think, okay, the reason I bring this up is I think actually a lot of people in our generation have the experience of, okay, maybe they like can communicate fine with their partner, but maybe their partner, their parents might be immigrants or something. Like that's a very common thing. Yeah. And you go and you have like not just the cultural aspect, but also the language aspect of maybe not fully understanding or having a common language with your in-laws, which can just make that relationship tougher because, you know, it's already tough to begin with, I guess. Yeah. Right? So I'm curious about that. And I'm just curious like how you navigated that and whether there were moments when you had like misunderstandings or kind of maybe the opposite of a misunderstanding when despite a language barrier, you were able to like share some special moment or something.
Right.
It's very fun. It is very, very fun. So I can give you a first example, which is our wedding. So we broadcast in Zoom. Yeah. We did it in Korea, but we have friends.
That's my dream wedding. But yeah.
We have our friends in Germany, Sri Lanka, Czech, and everywhere. So we streamed it, and we did it in 3 languages. We did it in Korean, we did it in English, we did it in Finnish. Yeah. So that's basically our in-laws situation. So, for example, my mom does speak English, but my dad not really. They met each other. Yeah. They speak Finnish. They speak Korean. So first, let's say Marianne's parents say something in Finnish, then she translates Finnish to English, then I translate English to Korean, then my parents understand, and my parents say something, and again I translate Korean to English, and she translates English to Finnish, and they understand. Yeah. So that's the communication.
It was like it took a long time to translate, like even the smallest things that they were saying to each other. Like in the later times when my mom visited, like last summer, like, and my younger brother also, I was able to translate some of the Korean to Finnish directly, which was a bit easier. We didn't need to do like as many like changes, like translator, like a double translator in between. So I think that got a bit easier at that time, but like in the beginning it was quite interesting.
Yeah, but one good thing about that is that I become a very, very good translator. Really, I'm very good. I'm very good. And it's actually thanks to her, because she gets very frustrated when she was feeling that she's missed. So like, for example, when we visit doctors in Korea, she wants me to explain everything. So she doesn't want me to like abstract or summarize. She hates it. And when even my parents are saying something, like in the beginning, I was just trying to like summarize a bit because it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy, but she hates it. So I have a habit of translating literally everything, and then I become so good. So nowadays, like we went to some seminar together in Korean, and I was able to do like live translation with a very decent quality. So that's a good thing. I think now I'm very confident about live translation, even because I have been practicing for more than 5 years. So
it was really interesting because there was like other lovely people who also like were translating to me to English, and it was so interesting to notice then like, oh, Gun is like gotten so good at the translating, because suddenly I'm like have somewhere to compare to. It's like, wow, he's like translating the context and everything. It's like so cool, and I was like so impressed. Like that time is like, wow, dude, you are so good at the translation nowadays.
Yeah, so people do international marriage. You get to be a good translator.
Gun, what I'm sort of hearing between the lines of you saying is like, for these translations, it's something beyond the kind of going back to your earlier comment about like English as a language, universal English language versus English between just you two, right? Even for these like translations, I'm sure there's like different contexts at play, and then you're probably getting also better at kind of picking up like signs from Marianne and her parents, right? Am I sort of correct in assuming that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think the very best expression would be I'm the best translator for her. Yeah, because I really know what she usually wants to understand, and I also know what she knows and what she doesn't know, so I can give much more rich context for her. And also when she's speaking in English, I know what she means because we're talking to each other all the time. So even if she skips something, I know what's her like behind thought and what she wants to talk. So because I have some certain model of her in my mind, which is decent quality, so with certain amount of information, I can give very precise and rich translation. But it might not necessarily work for other people. Yeah.
Right. That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
No, I thank you guys for sharing. Oh my gosh, I love this topic. I don't know. I am the language person, so I just
he is a huge language nerd.
I just like this is what I study. So like I enjoy hearing these stories.
This
like
man's gonna write a dissertation on this. Yeah.
No, actually, like I want to. But yeah. No, I like what you said about having a model of the other person, right? Because you may not like. It's a high information throughput channel, right? Like you're trying to cram a lot of information through that. And so at certain times, there might not be enough information, or maybe you miss something because it's all happening very quickly. So you have to sort of fill in from context. But if you know the other person really well, you have a good model of the person, you can sort of fill in any gaps from, basically your prior knowledge, which I think is really interesting. And I think that's something that like even, modern AI and stuff is like not that good at. Anyway, not to go on the total tangent, but yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think like when you're translating from one language to another, you just like are using, I don't know, like 200% brain power. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. It reminds me of, well, this isn't like a translation thing, but when I was recently on vacation in Italy and I stayed with my cousins. So this my cousins on my Japanese side, but they're half Japanese, half Italian, and they live in Italy. And it was like our conversations would be like, I would speak to my aunt in Japanese. She would speak to her husband and kids, my cousins, in Italian, and they would speak to me in English. And so we'd have this like three-way where like basically any pair of people can understand each other, but then like it's I don't know, it's chaotic, but it's also very fun. Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's interesting, especially to me, because I moved over to the U.S. when I was 15, right? I was like fully born and raised in Korea, like Gun, right? I only grew up speaking English. My parents don't speak English. I only grew up speaking Korean. My parents don't speak English. For me, it's almost like there is something even beyond the language that follows, like when I speak a certain language. I think it's almost like my tone and voice changes a little bit. And then I think even my personality also changes a little bit. And Gun has seen me speak Korean in this Korean book club. Gun actually has 5 jobs. He also operates this book club, so that's his 5th job. And Gun has seen that side of me too. And I don't know, are there any researchers where, things about like your tone changing with languages that you speak and personality and identity changing with the language?
I'm sure there is. I don't know that area very well, but yeah. I mean, there's a lot of literature on like code switching, right, where people switch back and forth between one language or even within a single conversation or a single sentence or using multiple languages. So yeah, I find it really interesting. I don't know specifically about that.
Yeah, I'm having a late quarter life crisis right now, so yeah, I have a lot of identity related questions. But okay, I do have to ask you guys. So I have been going around and telling everybody that my long-term partner, it has to be a Korean person, because like a cultural understanding, no language barrier, and like my family, I want my parents to be able to speak to my partner. All of those questions and doubts that I had about possibly dating a non-Korean person now seem very stupid, right? Looking at you guys, right? So I just want to ask you guys if there, some of our audience, who are single and sort of like thinking about, and struggling with these kind of questions, especially, right? Immigrants like me. Do you guys have any advice or anything that you learned from the process? Do you want to, share with the audience about, intercultural, relationships and stuff?
I think I have something to share. Of course, there are a lot of different things. But if you think about it, even if you meet someone that you assume that they're so close to you, there are a lot of things that's so different to you. Yeah, let's say you meet Korean, but like they are so far away. Like whatever you imagine, you're going to be wrong. You're going to find something that is so different. So whenever you focus on different things, you will find more and more. On the other hand, if you try to find something that you share, you will find more and more. So for example, for us, of course, like she's white, I'm Asian, and like she speaks Finnish, I speak Korean. Like if we start in that way, it's like infinite.
Wow.
But if we start to find something that we share, there are a lot of things too. We're both engineers. We value the international experience. We are considered as a world citizen.
Right.
And we love travel. We are not afraid going new countries. So if we find something that we share, they're also infinite.
Wow.
So I think it's what kind of thing that you want to focus on, because whoever you find, you will find something that you share. At the same time, you will find something that you guys are different.
Right.
So I think it's about what you want to focus on.
Wow. I'm so inspired. This is going to be hands down my favorite episode. Okay, Marianne, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add like a thing that no relationship is without the challenges. Like, it's not like our relationship was like, you know, everything was perfect. We were like so in love. We had like the pink glasses on everything time. No, it was hard time. You know, we had hard times. Especially with the cultural differences, it was like had to work through many things where we just simply just don't understand each other and the context of what we are saying. I think like during COVID we were living like super in a closed, like small space for a long time, and I think that time like brought up so many things. For some reason I cannot bring them up into my mind how, but I know that there were so many things. But like I think it's about the effort you want to put into the relationship. If you want to have the relationship, you need to put the effort, you need to work for it. It's not going to be easy. Like no relationship is easy. You just need to like, if you are like thinking that, oh, I just take the easy way out, I'm just going to break up and go, you're going to come back to that same problem with the next relationship.
Yeah, did y'all hear that? Yeah, yeah. Take notes. Yeah, because this is so interesting. Because we sorry for keep going back to the love and dating episode, but I mean Thomas and I spent a lot of time. Majority of that episode, we actually talk about two things, right? One, people these days overthink a lot, right? And I don't know if it's the inflated sense of optionality that comes with the swiping that you can do on dating apps or whatnot, but people just overthink because they think they have a lot of options. And two is they overthink, but once they actually stop thinking and act, they have a lot of fear with committing and sticking to something, right? At the earliest sign of something seeming like it's not going to work out, people just very easily, kind of back out of that, right? So, do you guys think that you guys are just wired, your personality wise, you guys just commit more easily to like even things beyond just this relationship? You guys are just willing to try and new things, and are you guys more just wired that way? Or do you think that there was something, I guess, I don't know, special about this relationship that just sort of made you guys think that, oh, this is worth committing, so let me just do this for the first time in my life? I'm just curious if it's a personality thing or if it was just,
I think it's both. For me, and I think for her too, we value international experience. And if you are married to totally different race, nationality, international experience just follows you. So for that one, it was easier in a way. And the other hand, the point that I was sure about this relationship is that the time that she actually came to Korea to see me. So it's a little personal, but we are like talking a lot of personal things. So like after we start dating for like 6-7 months, she was talking about marriage. And I was like freaking out, like, whoa, like marriage? I mean like, oh, no. Like I wasn't even thinking, I was just freaking out, I guess. And I have a reason, because I was, and I still am, very career-oriented person, and I have very big ambition. So I had a relationship before, and I was always prioritizing my career. And I think that was also my answer to her as well. I was saying that I'm very ambitious person, and also physically, if there is a great opportunity in US, I will go US. If there is opportunity in Korea, I will go Korea. If there is opportunity in Switzerland, I will go Switzerland. So I don't even know, like, next 2 years, I don't even know where am I going to be. So, like, how can we, like, promise future? But then she was saying that that doesn't matter, because wherever I will be, she will follow me. That's what she said. But then I was like, well, everybody can say, like, everybody can say, but you need to show. So I was like, all right. And then, like, the conversation just, like, not conclude, and just time flies, and I went to Korea. And then she actually show that she is willing to follow me wherever I go. And it was especially very hard time because it was COVID time. All visa was blocked. So I would thought that it was impossible. But she was, like, working hard, and she find a way to come to Korea by learning Korean. So if you learn Korean in university for more than 2 semesters, you will get a visa.
Oh, so like language schools.
Yeah,
college,
language school. So that's what she did. She applied, she got in, she did all paperwork, and she came to Korea with just one backpack and one carrier luggage.
Yes.
So I was like, wow, she's like really, really real, that she's like willing to, like, follow me.
Right.
And then I was like, wow, that's what she's willing to commit. Then I should also commit for her. So I think that's the point.
I would like to add that it was 2 weeks in a quarantine at that time.
Oh, yeah.
That was not fun. I mean, it was like the hot Korean summer. Yeah. These guys don't have an AC at their house at that time. It was not good 2 weeks, I would say. But Korean government brought me a box of food. That was so cool. It was so cool. They just like dropped it off outside their house, and there was like box of food for me. I was like, cool. I mean, this is fun. Like, not as bad as I expected it to be, to like need to stay in one room for like whole 2 weeks. That was interesting, I would say. But yeah, that is what I wanted to add.
So it sounds like your mindset sort of changed based on the way you thought about things before versus, after this experience, you like shifted how you think about commitment, which is, I think, very, very cool. So not to like switch topics or pivot, but I am kind of curious about, especially you mentioned, being very international and moving around so much, and this idea of like, putting your career first and moving if there's a new opportunity.
Right.
You guys had to do that. And, you met in Finland and spent a bunch of time there, but also spent a bunch of time in Korea. And then now you're in the US. And I mean, we've talked about this previously about how like both Finland and Korea are pretty homogeneous countries, in the scheme of things. And then you come to the US, which, it depends where you are, I guess, but at least in like Cambridge is pretty multicultural and diverse.
Very.
So like, yeah, I mean, what was your experience like moving here? So just for context, like as they mentioned, they moved here for like a year when Gun was doing like a visiting studentship, and then moved back to Korea for a bit, and then came back now like full time.
Right.
But were there any moments of, I guess, like confusion or like bewilderment, or I don't know, what was the experience like coming to the US? Was it a pretty smooth transition, or was it like, I don't know, I'm asking, did the experience of having to jump around and move in so many different countries before, did that prepare you well, or were you still kind of surprised during the adjustment to living in the US?
Yeah, and just to add to that, to Thomas's question, I also want to ask, was it similar to what you expected before coming to the US, or was it completely different? Is also what I want to ask. Yeah.
In Korea, I was super dependent on Gun on everything, basically. I couldn't really do anything without him because I didn't know the language enough. I knew like the basics, I did not study Korean long enough to be able to like completely be alone and deal with stuff. And then we come here and it's like, I know the language. I can be completely like independent about stuff, and it's like I can go to the bank myself. I can buy the like groceries online and do all those stuff. It's like that was such a like freeing feeling, I would say, to be like finally be able to like understand, because for so long time I was like so like I couldn't do anything on my own. I couldn't like go to movies basically on my own because, well, like, of course it comes also with my own personality, being a bit shy person, so I wasn't ready to go with like body language to the movie theater and be like, I want to watch the newest Disney movie or something. But like, it was super, super nice to come here and suddenly like, oh, people understand what I say and I understand what they say. But that was super nice.
And I will add slightly different angle. It's hard to move around.
Right.
But if you're with someone, it's relatively easy. So my home for last 5 years was in Finland, in Turkey, in Korea, in US. It was everywhere. So it sounds cool. But in reality, sometimes you find it very hard. Like,
exhausting.
Where's my home?
Yeah.
But after I meet her, my home was very simple. When Marianne is there, that's my home. So it's very easy. It's very easy.
Do you take lessons? Yeah, wait. How does man come up with these phrases? Oh my gosh, these lines,
dude. You gotta learn.
Yeah, this is why he's married and I'm not. Okay, this is crazy. Wow,
But seriously,
home is wherever with you.
Yeah, but
okay.
Like whenever I'm with her
Yeah.
and we are in certain place,
Yeah.
I feel that's home.
Wow.
I don't feel lonely. I don't feel like I'm out of nowhere. I feel very comfortable. So wherever I go, I'm more confident. I am probably going to travel a lot, even in the future. But as long as I'm with her, I'm not afraid.
Oh, wow.
So it was really good thing that I'm moving around with her, like here and there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, but yeah, you may say cheese, but I think it really comes from the bottom of his heart, and I can really tell that he's being genuine. And just for the audience's context, right? Gun was a visiting student, and now belated congratulations again. He's now doing a full PhD at MIT here, also doing fancy brain science stuff like Thomas is what I'm understanding. So you know for a fact that you'll be here for a while. Right. So do you sort of, with now, I feel like, at least for the foreseeable, I guess 5 years, 6 years, however many years, you guys will be here and settled in. How do you feel about that? I mean,
I have not yet like fully like taken it in that we would be in a one place for like 6 years, because until this point, we haven't been together in one place more than a year.
Not even 6 months.
Yeah, we are like moving like from apartment to apartment, country to country. It's like we just don't stay still. So it's like I don't think I can yet like fully. I don't know if you do, but like I cannot yet like fully understand the whole idea of like staying in one place for so long time. But yeah, it's like next 6 years.
I'm quite happy for it because moving sucks. Moving sucks. Like packing everything and like get some car or whatever and put some humongous couch into some weird angle, and it sucks. But I'm very happy that we're going to stay here for 6 years. And I think it's really nice because Cambridge is very international.
yeah.
US, not necessarily,
No.
but Cambridge is very international, and we have very international friends like Gihong, Korean, Thomas, whatever. So
Whatever.
also
Undefined.
we have a lot of like other friends from like China, from Philippines, from Indonesia, from like Iran or Lebanon, like Germany.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool to be here, and we get to experience a lot of culture.
Right.
And I really appreciate that. So I'm very happy that I'm going to stay here for 5-6 years, at least for sure.
Yeah.
And even if I'm not moving like crazy person, I get to still experience internationality here.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we're also, Thomas and I are also excited that you guys are staying here. So we're really happy for it. Yeah. I feel like I've been bombarding them with questions, so I want to pass it on to you, Thomas, in case you have any. Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like that's a good place to, wrap up. I mean, we're hitting 1 hour basically. And yeah, you guys have been very generous with sharing your memories
we really
and
appreciate
thoughts
it.
and all
Yeah.
this. I mean, if you want to, I don't know, is there anything you want to ask us? I mean, that's random.
Yeah, Thomas and I have been together for about quite a while now. Yeah, this is a 1 year anniversary into actually, guys, it's been a year.
It's our 1 year anniversary of starting the podcast.
Yeah. So it's been a good journey. And
Young and I, it's our baby that we have together.
All right.
Is this podcast?
All right. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Marianne, thank you so much for sharing your personal stories, and Gun, thank you so much for spitting all the great punchlines. I will be trying to use some of them on dates. Although it might be weird to say wherever I'm with you is at home on a date.
Yeah, maybe wait until the third date.
Wait until the third date. Okay. But anyways, thank you again. We're so excited to have you guys here for the foreseeable future with us in Boston. And we'll share the link with you guys after we're done editing. And Drifters will be back next week with potentially other guests or a new topic. Yeah. All right. Till then, stay tuned.
It was nice meeting you.
Oh,
it was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Guys.